Welcome, 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 girls and boys, geeks and nerds, to a brand new episode of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have two guests, Mikhail McIntosh talking about the Videro Wine Bar, some holiday cocktails for Valentine's Day. After that, we'll be talking with actor Nina Bergman about a new movie, Cold Meat, that she's got out. Little suspense, little horror, little cocktails for your Valentine's week. All that and more. Stand by.
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight listening to us on the Big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you. Thank you very much for tuning in. No video tonight. Joey V is off at a Super Bowl party. So no video. It's just us here in the studio, meaning me and you, of course, the listener. And tonight we've got a couple guests lined up. I'm still waiting to hear back from my first guest. I've called, I've left a voicemail, and I have texted, but no response yet. But we've got plenty to get to. This is amazing that we're coming up already on my 400th show, which is hard to believe. I've been doing this since August of 2016 when we first launched Geek to Me Radio on a different radio station. There was a little bit there when we were strictly online as we transitioned from the other radio station before KTRS brought us over here where we now live. And it's been an interesting journey. I keep thinking about all the people I gotten to talk to. The next two shows coming up here in the next 2 weeks are going to be incredible. I've got an interview with director Joe Dante, who did Gremlins, who did Piranha, who did The Burbs with Tom Hanks. Just an amazing guy, so knowledgeable about film. So that's going to be an interview I'll be excited to share with you next week. After that, I'll be going to two different cons the same weekend. I'll be doing Planet Comic Con, which is coming up here in March. So I'll be there Friday, March the 8th. I come right back. I catch a plane and fly out to Burbank for Transformers Con, which is in L.A. This year is the 40th anniversary of the original Transformers, which started obviously in 1984, a cartoon which was one of the cartoons that I remember the most growing up. I had the toys, the comic books from Marvel Comics, because back in the 80s, I'm sure a lot of you know, you got the 1, 2, 3, the trifecta. You got the toy, the cartoon tie-in, and the comic book, usually from either Marvel or DC. Happened with He-Man, happened with Transformers. It happened with G.I. Joe, and that was the attack that they used, and it worked because I was hooked. So it's hard to believe this is the 40th anniversary of Transformers. So this convention is going to have the likes of Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, Frank Welker, the voice of Megatron, and then a lot of other voices you've heard on this radio station already. Paul Eiding, the voice of Perceptor, Greg Berger, the voice of Grimlock. Both of those two gentlemen will join us in 2 weeks as we discuss Transformers, the 40th anniversary, its impact on pop culture, and of course we'll be promoting the convention more. But they're going to have Dan Gilvezan will be there, the voice of Prowl. They've got Michael Bell, who is there. I'm sorry, Michael Bell is the voice of Prowl. Dan Gilvezan, the voice of Bumblebee. They've got John Machida Jr., also been on the show before, the voice of Blur, and a bunch of the writers, of the artists, and some of the people who wrote episodes, like Frank Dill, who wrote episodes of the TV show. It promises to be an amazing convention. I'm so excited to go to that one. So that weekend will be the 401st show. I don't want to spoil the 400th show because I've got something very excited. I'm very excited about, I should say, for our 400th episode that will be airing that first Sunday in March. And I've got a big announcement coming. We've been kind of lightly teasing this for the past several weeks for the 400th show. I'm very excited about this. We're going to have some special guests both online and in studio with us, and we'll give that big announcement about what we have planned going forward for Geek to Me Radio. It's going to be a really incredible show. So hopefully that's exciting to you, because I'm excited to bring these shows to you. And it's been just so much fun these past 8 years. What is that? Is that correct? My math is awful. I went to public school. Since 2016 that I've been doing Geek to Me Radio, and we're coming up on 400th episode. So a big shout out to the Big 550 KTRS for having me on the air with them and for allowing me to continue to do this show. And even though he's not here, a big shout out to Joey V, because I would not be doing the show as long as I have without him. Obviously, he was with me at the other radio station. And when that folded, someone came in and bought that other radio station, got rid of all the employees, got rid of all the programming, changed the format. And Joey said, you know what, you got to keep going. He got me a rig so I can do recordings at home. And that was the period during which we just did online stuff. We only did it online and released it as a podcast. So I was very excited when KTRS did bring me back in March of, what would that be, 2021, I believe. And we started broadcasting here on KTRS. Very exciting. That said, let me tell you really quick while we're paused here about our premier sponsor, the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. Hopefully you came out this weekend because they had their very first inaugural Once Upon a Valentine's Day Festival. This is a Valentine's Day for the loved and the loveless. It's a special event they did Friday for this coming Saturday. We just did it this Saturday and Sunday from noon till 3. We had a lot of people come out, and a lot of people were very excited because obviously if you're familiar with their Christmas festival out there in St. Charles and the Halloween festival, brand new festival. They launched it just this one weekend only, but you could get dating advice from Casanova and the Femme Fatale. They had Cupid out there. You could do archery practice with Cupid. We had the wives of King Henry, who were obviously not that enthralled with love, but it was a great time. We had our Valentine's Day Massacre gangsters out there, and it was Romeo and Juliet. You could do a custom sonnet from Romeo and Juliet. So it's in that same vein that you're accustomed to with their Halloween and their Christmas festivals. So huge success. We'll see it again, obviously, next Valentine's Day season when Once Upon a Valentine Day comes back for the 2025 season. So there's always something like that going on down in St. Charles, though. It's a fantastic area. The cobblestone streets, the small businesses, the restaurants, the shops, and it's really unlike anything else that's in this area. So we're so lucky to have this right here in our backyard. So maybe you're listening to this right now. Maybe you've not been to Old St. Charles for a while. What are you waiting on? Take a trip. Head over there. Make a lunch date. Go have lunch this weekend. Have Burger Underground or maybe Q's or some of the other places out there. Salt and Smoke, a lot of great places to eat. And, of course, if you've got a birthday coming up, Valentine's Day is coming up, stop in there, Sugar and Slice, the bakery there, for some Valentine macarons or some goodies like that to satisfy that sweet tooth that your loved one might have. All these shops and businesses, these are all, locally owned, small shops, small businesses. In this economy, it's important to support those types of establishments. If you're not in the greater St. Louis, St. Charles area, and you're looking for someplace new to check off on your 2024 bucket list, check out the website, discoverstcharles.com. See what there is for you to do. Maybe you should come out and hang out with all us here, discover the best-kept secret that we all know about already, all the shops and businesses along there in St. Charles. Again, you can plan your trip now, whether you're near or far, wherever you are, to quote Celine Dion. It's discoverstcharles.com. That's discoverstcharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. I don't think we're going to get Mikkel McIntosh. I think she has forgotten about me. I'm devastated because I wanted to talk about the Videra Wine Bar, and we had a chance to go visit that place, and it was fantastic. So I was hoping to have her on, talk about some of the special they've got going on, and talk about some holiday-themed cocktails. But it appears that will have to wait. We're going to take a brief commercial break. We're going to come right back in just a moment, and we'll see what we're going to do until we get Nina Bergman on. She's supposed to be on at 1:30. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
We are back. Geek to Me Radio every Sunday night. The Big 550 KTRS. I'm your host, James Enstall. Right now, we're going to go to the phone lines. We have standing by actor, singer, songwriter, model Nina Bergman. She's got a brand new film coming out as of February 23rd. You can catch her in Cold Meat opposite Allen Leech, who played the great Tom Branson, one of my favorite characters on Downton Abbey. Nina, I appreciate your time today.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you so much for being on air on Super Bowl Sunday. Are you a big football fan?
No.
You're not alone. I'm the same way. I'm doing a radio show. I'm not watching. I don't even have it on in the studio. So, but you know.
Yeah. I'm not. I can't lie. Which brings me to. I mean, that's mean, James. You just put me after John Cleese. That's not nice.
Well, it was like I said, my first guest had to cancel last minute, so I needed some filler. But hey, I mean, now you're on with John Cleese. That's great.
I know. Huge fan. I'm a huge fan of him. Yeah, that I'll watch all day long. Him.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, not so much football. It is more because I grew up in Europe and. I just don't know it.
I got you. Yeah, and I grew up here in America, and I'm still just, it's fine. To each their own. I nothing against people who love sports, but as you can tell by the name of the radio station, I'm more of a geek. I don't do sports as much.
Yes, my type of people. Yes.
Right. So I had a chance to watch this movie, Nina, and I've got to tell you, man, what a nail biter. It's so intense. There's a couple twists that I didn't see coming. Talk a little bit, if you would, because I'm always fascinated. Auditioning for the part where you offered it, how did you get cast as Anna?
They made a straight offer. They saw Hell Hath No Fury, and the director had a very specific thing that he was looking for, so it was a straight offer. And Allen Leech was already attached, which was the big kind of, I needed to know who the guy was. I think that was a deal breaker for me, who they had cast as my partner. And then when I found out it was Allen, I was like, okay. Yes. Yeah. And then I read the script and it feels, when I read it, it felt like a play. So, and that's the world that I come from. So I was like, I'm in, I have to do this.
Yeah, and I can't blame you because, like I said, I was watching it, and it's just I feel like those. I don't want to spoil it, but I do want to talk a little bit about. I'm trying to find the right way so I don't ruin the movie for people who want to see it, and you should. If you're listening right now, put it down, jot it down. Cold Meat, as we said, it's out on February 23rd. It's a little bit of supernatural. It's man versus man. It's man versus nature. It's really got it all. This must have been, as a performer, you started on the stage. You've done a lot of film and TV. It must have been just a gift as an actor.
It was a dream come true. I mean, a dream come true. And again, we got to work with my co-star that, is such a pro, and he was, a dream to work with. And then the director gave us kind of free range to do what we wanted to do. In the beginning, he had a clear vision. The director had the project for 10 years. He wrote it, he directed it, special effects. So, he was very hands-on, color correcting, all that. So he was very hands-on. But after he kind of learned that Allen and I had a clear vision of what we wanted, he just kind of let us go and let us do our thing. So, yeah, it was a fun one. Hard one, but fun.
I feel cold just watching this movie. I was shivering half the time. Was this all? I'm assuming like the interior and the car scenes. Hopefully that was shot on a soundstage, and you guys weren't out in the frigid cold for that part of it.
It was exactly what you thought it was. A lot of it was on the soundstage because they had to take the car apart and to get those kind of intricate shots, and then the other half of the movie was shot on location. Freezing our butts off. So,
Yikes.
Yeah, so a lot of it is like real shiver.
Yeah.
Real teeth clacking.
My goodness. I mean, I almost think, when you talk about if you had to choose your way to die, I guess freezing to death would be my preference because I don't like being hot and sweaty, but it's one of those movies, like I said, the two of your performances, the way you work and play off each other, but then also, like I said, you guys I could feel how cold you were. Was this, for the exterior parts, was this shot in Colorado, or where was it shot at?
We were shooting in Colorado and in Prince George in a small town, and we were up in the mountains, deep in some forest somewhere shooting it. We were there. We were staying at a tiny little hotel with nothing around. It was just the hotel room and the set and location. That was it, shooting that thing.
My goodness. And was any of because the blizzard, I mean, this was obviously what you needed. Was that the weather conditions? And you guys were just like, yes, the weather's perfect. Let's go out and play in the snow. Was any of the snow, was it special effects, CGI, anything like that?
Special effects, yeah. The director is, he comes from a background of special effects. He's done he has an incredible body of work. So you can't really tell because he's so good. But, there was no wind. There was none of that. Yeah, none of that. It was freezing cold. But, all of that, the sound effects and all of that, that's him. That wasn't there.
My goodness. Yeah, I know he did, the director that we're talking about, Sebastian, he did some of the digital art work on X-Men First Class, for crying out loud. He's done a bunch of stuff. It's amazing some of the work he's done on visual effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that really, paid off in this case because we didn't have the wind, we didn't have all of that wonderful snow. That's he added that after, but it didn't take away from how cold it was. I play a waitress in a diner, and I was supposed to wear stockings, my little waitress outfit, and I couldn't wear it because it was so freezing cold.
Oh
my stockings would freeze into my legs, so we had to change the wardrobe, and it was a real thing. But someone like me who's all method all the way, it helped
I'm
a
sure.
lot.
And some of the other work you've done too. You've done not just some of your on camera, but then you've done voices too and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you enjoy, because a lot of actors, they do the voice roles, but they're not as enchanted with them. Do you find some of the voice work you've done, do you enjoy it?
Well, I sing, and then, with Call of Duty and all of that, I'm actually the physical part of it. They didn't want my American with slight Danish in it.
Oh, okay.
They didn't want that. Yeah, they didn't want that. So I've done voiceovers before for specifics, but it's not. I'm a physical actor.
Gotcha.
I like the singing part and writing the songs part, but the voiceover, it's not. I like doing it, but it's not my favorite.
So the video game was motion capture then for that part.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just saw the video game, and we have so many voice actors on. I just assumed that's on me. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I've done others where I've done the voice, but not for that one. I can't take credit. For me to become American, it takes a minute. I can't. You guys are tough.
And you did mention singing and songwriting. You came into this, like I said, you've done just about everything. You've done stage work. You were an amateur boxer for a while. With the singing and songwriting, what made you fall in love with that particular aspect of performance?
Well, for me, it's just performing any art form. I'm just a performer, whether it's singing or acting, or it all comes from the same place. And I've been singing since I was very young. I have a gypsy grandmother that I sang with, and I've always kind of sang. And it was, I think I felt freer sometimes doing my music because I wrote it and I was the boss, and no one could tell me to hit my mark and say my line a certain way. I was the boss. So that really worked. As I would do my TV shows, I'd do whatever, and I felt very constricted. And then I would go on tour for 6 months, do what I wanted to do. Then I missed acting so much. It was like having two lovers, one, and then I missed the other. So then I would come back, and then I would do my acting. And then, I felt constricted, and then I'll go out on the road again. But now I've been doing more the parts that I want to do. I've been fortunate to play, to me, that's a dream part.
Yeah.
Anna is a dream part. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've done such a wide variety, but I'm always fascinated because people who do the horror genre, what is it that scares you? Some people they don't like slasher movies, they don't like the supernatural movies. What frightens you? I
can't watch horror movies.
Oh, really?
I just can't. I've been thrown out of movie theaters.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know it's real. When I watched Cold Meat, I forgot it was me acting, and there's a couple of places where flew up. I screamed. I jumped out of my couch. Yeah, I forgot. I just have such a vivid imagination on one of those actors. I just have such a crazy imagination. I forget that I'm watching a movie. I just can't. I mean, I have to turn off the sound, and it's like a whole thing, and I can't sleep for a week after, and it's like, oh,
wow,
it's painful.
Yeah, and I got to say, this movie that you're in, Cold Meat, as I was watching it, I'm completely by myself. I'm sitting there watching it, and the ending, I had a bit of a jump scare at the end. When people see it, they'll know what I'm talking about. But that, it looked like I said, I was thinking to myself, the notes I've got down, very, very cold, but a lot of fun to film, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it really was, because it was like, the director shot it mainly in chronological order, so it was like a play. We would learn the scenes, and I was so lucky to work with Allen, who was just, we would do like full scenes instead of just stop and start. So especially with characters like that, it would help us to get into it more. And Allen is scary in this movie. Jesus Christ! I mean, I didn't even have to act. He's eerie.
Yeah.
He's creepy. And then he's just the nicest guy in real life. And then he's just such a creep in that one. Yeah. And, it's based after, real characters. There was 2 real characters. The director, he wrote it as well, that he based it after, Alan's character. And I sat and watched those characters in real life, and it was freaky. I mean, they do exist out there.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
that's
it's
the scary part.
Like I said, it's one of those things you almost don't need the supernatural element. Just with the, those are things you learn about in English class: man versus man versus nature, man versus self. And as I said at the beginning of our interview, you basically got all those in this one. It's absolutely bonkers. So I hope people will definitely check out Cold Meat, again streaming as of February 23rd. So make sure you put that on your list now. With the other projects you've done, obviously Doom Annihilation, The Car, The Road to Revenge, Assassin X, and you mentioned Hell Hath No Fury. What do you find helps you get into a character, no matter the genre? Do you kind of base it off the script? Do you talk about it with the director first? Every actor has their own process. I'm curious as to what is yours.
I believe that, I have everything that I play inside of me. Maybe I don't tap into it on a daily basis, but if I don't have it inside of me, I can't play it. So I have some small version of it. And so I search for that part, like Anna, she was a victim in the beginning. I used to be a victim too, very abusive relationships. I had all of that stuff. So I tap into all of that, and then I do as much research as I possibly can. And then once I create my character and a vision for her, and I do all of the work that I can, then I take it to the director and I present it. And then I add on whatever they have of their visions. And, I think in this Cold Meat, I think the director had a very different vision, because he had her for like 10 years. So in the beginning, he was like, oh, no, Anna, she would do, he had like a certain vision. So I think it took a second, to kind of let go of that and let Ellen and I do our thing. But I just try to do as much as preparation as I can. And then once I get there, I let it all go, because ultimately it's the director's vision, right?
Yeah.
So I try to serve the story in whatever capacity. And try to leave my ego at the door, right? Because I have all these ideas and visions, and sometimes they don't make it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's always that fine line of the collaboration, what the actor wants and what the director needs, I guess.
Yeah, but you have to trust your director, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't, but for me, that's how I choose to do it.
And I'm curious, because I know in your bio it mentions that, if I'm not mistaken, you're the granddaughter of a great Russian actor. And I'm curious, was that something that was ever, like, when you're going forward, you have like, I've got acting in my blood, this is something I want to do? Were you always drawn to performance? At what age did you realize this is my calling?
Well, at 4 years old, I knew this is what I wanted to do. I was with my grandmother, and she was performing. She was singing on stage, and I had to run out and give her a rose. And I gave her a rose. And, I was like, this is where I belong. And then right after, I saw a ballet, and there was like some really handsome men jumping around, carrying the women around. And I was like, this is so romantic. So I started at 4 years old. I was like, I want that. I want to perform on a stage and do romantic stuff like that and wear dresses. So that's where it started. And then I just always had an urge to perform. And if I didn't, I would create my own stuff. You know, my dad let me create my own little TV show at 7. You know, he worked he was a professor at the Danish Film School, and he worked at a TV station. So I had my own little show when I was 7 that
How
he
cool.
helped me with. Yeah, so I've just always been a creator, whether it was music, acting, I have to create, otherwise I just explode.
And going from the academy in London where you were, and then you've the Bolshoi Theater in Moscow, moving to NYU Tisch School of Arts in New York City. So it's been a global journey for you too. I'm curious, when you're performing, obviously different stories for different audiences, and we see this, not to bring it back to horror per se, but there are Japanese horror, there's Italian horror, and we're seeing more of these types of genre horror movies come forward, which I love. And I'm curious, is there a particular genre in which you personally find most rewarding to work?
Well, for me, it's all about character. It's character arc. And, sometimes, thrillers especially. I'm not, because I don't know the horror world so well, because I can't watch them.
Right.
I was supposed to do the music for The Boy, a while back, and I remember sitting there in the theater by myself, and I couldn't watch it. Like, I couldn't watch the movie. I ran out of the movie theater. Like, I can't watch it.
Oh my gosh.
So, but those thrillers, it just feels like those characters are very well developed, and they have backstories, and kind of like comic book characters a little bit. Yeah. There is a lot of them have a lot, because I don't know, it's because it gets into the geek genre or whatever, but it feels like a lot of thought is put into their characters and their backstories, which are the characters that I like to play.
And you're a very physical performer. I know you did amateur boxing for a while and things like that. Do you find that I would assume that can only serve you as an actor to have that physicality, especially for a role like you had in Cold Meat, where you're out there, you're fighting against nature, you're fighting someone else, a physical opponent, and everything like that. I assume that's helped you develop some of these characters, like for Anna.
Oh, yeah. I always work from a physical standpoint, because I started in ballet and then, boxing. And so I always approach everything from a physical standpoint. Like, the first thing is, how would the character walk? What do they eat for breakfast? Everything is very physical before it gets into mental. So that's where I come from with everything. And then getting those parts and being trained, sometimes you have to learn choreography, and you have to hit marks and remember 12 things that you have to do. So that really helps, because I have such a awareness of my body. And I think you have to, I went to NYU and theater school, and you learn, like Anna stands different. She walks different. She moves different. She's completely different from me. She does everything a little more, I don't know what the word is. Her shoulders are a little slouched. She doesn't stand up straight. She's, hesitates whenever she makes any moves. And so physically, once I find her, I can start finding her emotionally too. That's how I work.
And that's such a deep understanding. Like I said, I guess that's just, you kind of go over the character breakdown, you read the story, then you start developing the physical aspects of how this character would behave and move on from there. Am I correct?
Yeah, from down to what she eats. I mean, if I have a green juice in the morning, or if I have something super unhealthy, it's going to alter my mood and the way I feel. So it's like, I get very specific.
It must work, because like I said, this was such an incredible performance. I'm assuming it only helps to have a great co-star like Allen Leech as well.
Yeah, he's such a pro. Let me tell you, like, I have to stay in character the whole time. The guy is so good. He just cracks a joke, jumps in and out. I mean, he's like as pro as they come, and fun and sweet and caring. And I mean, he's everything you want to work with. He's very there for his co-stars and for everyone. He's a great partner. That's what he is. He's a great partner. It was really fun to do this, and he wants to rehearse. And especially in a movie like this, you really need to rehearse and choreograph. Even the end scene, there's actually a lot of choreographer choreography to it, even though it doesn't look like it. But, you know, it all had to be choreographed.
Yeah, I'm
You know,
sure.
he's up for it, and he's very, like, making sure I was okay and I was comfortable, and we rehearsed it, I mean, until, like, you know, wee hours of the night. I remember one night, and no, he's really there. He's there 110%. So, I mean, he's a pro. He's been doing it for a minute and a lot of episodes, you know, of TVs and shows.
And how long was the shoot? I'm always curious because some of you have a luxury of having a little more time on set to do all the characters, to go through the rehearsals. Sometimes you're very pressed for time. Was this a longer shoot for you, or was it a short shoot?
Well, I talked to the director about this because I don't want to diminish what we did by saying that we shot in 12 days.
Oh, my gosh, you're kidding me.
Well, I know, because all the money went to, you know, everything else. So the hard shooting days were 12 days, and then we did, you know, a little bit of pickups. But, yeah, it was a 12-day shoot, so it was insane.
Wow.
As you can imagine, yeah. So there was not a lot of time. I mean, there was no chemistry test for Allen and I. You know, they flew us out to Canada, and we met in the lobby, and it was like a Western standoff. We're just standing there staring at each other for 5 minutes going, is this going to work? Can this work? Can he be my David? And he's staring, you know, we just stood there and stared at each other for 5 minutes. And then we were like, yeah, this is going to work.
And again, it definitely did work. Take it from someone who's seen the movie, folks. Cold Meat, again, on February 23rd. You can catch it streaming. I believe there's going to be, is it a light theatrical release as well as streaming, correct?
Yes, and we have an international screening on the 17th.
Yes.
Yes, on the Kino. So on the 17th, you can lock in. I'm here in California. It's at noon. Pacific Standard Time at noon. You can buy tickets online, and then you can log in, and there's going to be a Q&A with me and Allen, answering questions, and you would actually be able to screen it there before it comes out.
So you could be able to get it a week early, folks. Check out it's Kino, Kino on the 17th, and then everywhere else streaming on the 23rd of February. If people want to keep up with you, find out more about you, website, social media handles, things like that?
Nina Bergman at Instagram is where I'm most active, and then I have my website as well, and Facebook, Twitter, but it's always Nina Bergman, but Instagram is where I tend to hang out.
Instagram for the most part. All right, and again,
it's Nina Bergman, yeah.
It's been a delight to talk to you. Thank you for your time on a Sunday night to come on the show and talk about the movie. I think everyone is going to love it, and continued success to you. Hopefully we can have you back on another time.
I hope so for the next one. Yeah,
Perfect.
It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your night.
You too.
There she goes, Nina Bergman. Be sure to check out Cold Meat. Again, absolutely, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. Fantastic movie. So if you do have a chance to check that out, again, Kino, Kino, you can see it there's an international thing. As she said, her and Allen will be doing a Q&A and things like that on the 17th, and then worldwide release on the 23rd of February. You can check it out streaming there, and it's well worth your watch, trust me. That is going to do it. I want to make sure we talk about our official comic book sponsor, Bugs Comics and Games. If you are wanting to get in, I'm sitting there right now. TBS is on because, of course, I don't have the game going in the studio right now. But Thor 3 is playing in the background. It's if you're watching all these comic book movies, maybe you've seen The Flash that just came out this year. Maybe you saw Blue Beetle. Maybe you're kind of wondering, I need to get more into this. It seems to be no stopping for these superhero movies. You want to find out more about it? Go to Bugs Comics and Games. Let Larry help you out and show you what kind of things you might want to read if you want a good Thor story. If you're looking, what's this Deadpool character I keep hearing about, this movie coming out this summer? He'll give you some Deadpool comics, a lot of back issues, a lot of new issues, and in this economy, save some money. Join the Avengers Club. That way you start saving money on your pull list. Tell him which one you want to hold. He'll hold them aside for you, so you don't have to worry about missing an issue week by week. And then you can start saving money on your weekly pull by joining the Avengers Club. Larry will help you out in your comic book needs. You can check them out online. Go to Instagram and find Bugs Comics and Games. Obviously, their Facebook page as well, facebook.com, Bugs Comics and Games. And give their page a like there. Larry will appreciate that. The official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. Thank you again to Nina Bergman for being on. Again, the movie was Cold Meat. Thank you to our official premier sponsor, the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you to all of you who listened tonight. We appreciate it. And if you're listening after the fact in the podcast form, hopefully you found us, left us a nice 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening. That's going to do it. Until next week, my friends.
It's not in the way you look when you make Game of Thrones references. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, Colorado. Good night.
Hey kids, are your parents about to buy you a shiny new toy from Amazon?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Well, don't be selfish. Share some of that money with us. Before going on Amazon, make sure to type in bit.ly/geek2me in the web browser. It will look just like Amazon.com, except it'll say referral Geek to Me Radio up top. And then when you check out, a tiny percentage will go to support the show without costing you 1 cent more. So before your parents get you that gizmo, gadget, or widget, make sure they type in bit.ly/geek2me in the web browser.
Bit.ly/geek2me. Bit.ly/geek2me.